What's up, everybody? This is Nerd Place, and today I'm going to be talking about The Rehearsal, which is a show that just came out on HBO or HBO Max a couple of weeks ago. Only 6 episodes, so I just finished it, watching it last night, the season finale, and I just wanted to talk about it. This is going to be one of my most informal videos on the channel. I'm not going to do a lot of edits. I don't have any notes written down. I don't have any clear direction what it is I want to say. All I know is that I finished watching it last night, and I just want to talk about it. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here. So right off the bat, I want to say the following. I want to set the record straight. Anybody that tells you that they got this show, they have this show figured out, that they know what it's about, they know the meaning, they know the message, the point of this show. If anybody tells you that they understand this show and they're about to explain it to you, they're either lying or they're completely mistaken. I do not believe for 1 second that anybody is gonna come away from this show with the exact same opinion. Like that's one of the things that really grabbed me from the beginning. The first 3 episodes specifically, it's only 6 episodes. The first 3 episodes, the only reason I kept watching after the first episode was I was constantly wondering, what is this? Like, what am I supposed to be feeling? What am I supposed to be thinking about this show? Is this, because the show is essentially a reality TV show, and it's presented in that way. So Nathan Fielder has this like deadpan type comedy. He's done this type of show before. I've never watched it. I had never heard of him. I heard about this show through another podcast that I listened to, and I was somewhat interested, so I gave it a chance. But that's the only thing that I knew about it. And the show begins that way. So it begins a reality TV show with this odd type of comedy. But the things that go on within that first episode are so absurd, I guess, that they're unbelievable. So the first few episodes, it's presented in a way where it wants you to believe that everything that is being presented is real. This is a reality TV show. But the things that go on within the show are just too incredible to believe that they're real. Not to mention that there are people that are clearly actors. There are some that we know are actors, but there are some people that are trying to be real people that seem like clearly these are actors, but then there are people in the show that are clearly real people. So this is very odd feeling of, am I supposed to feel like everything that's going on in this show is real? Am I supposed to feel like it's fake, some sort of mockumentary type thing? Is it a mix of the two? It's really ambiguous in that sense. And by the way, after the 3rd episode, what I thought were clearly actors, what I thought were clearly fake scenarios, I found out through, on some online research that no, these people are real. These things that happened really did happen. They do exist in the real world. So at that point, after the 3rd episode, I thought to myself, okay, I literally have no grasp of what is real and what isn't real. And that's part of the purpose of the show. Let me summarize the premise of the show as best as I can. What the show is about is that Nathan Fielder, he offers a service to people that wanna confront a certain situation that is difficult to confront. They don't know how to face that situation, or how to do the thing, or they have certain desires or dreams, but they don't know how it's gonna pan out. They have a certain discussion they wanna have with somebody, a difficult discussion or a conversation or some secret they wanna tell somebody, but they don't know how they're gonna go about it. So Nathan Fielder, basically, he offers this service where he's gonna help these people rehearse that situation. So what he does is he literally recreates entire buildings, like their homes, bars, everything, and he hires a bunch of actors and he allows the person to rehearse the scenario with all the possible outcomes of that scenario, so that when they go to the real situation, they know that if this person says this, I'll say this. If this occurs, I'll do that. So they know all of the range of possibilities. They've rehearsed it thoroughly so that they can feel better prepared to face the situation in real life. That's essentially what it is. And the first episode begins that way. The whole first episode is literally about that. By the 2nd episode, it begins that way, but it ends with Nathan deciding to become a part of the experiment, be a part of the rehearsal. He's trying to get something out of it, and then episodes 3 to 6 is just basically fleshing that out, and it turns into something else entirely. By the end of it, it is something completely different from what it began, and it's only 6 episodes, so it's this drastic change between those 6 episodes. At the end of it, though, one thing that I want to highlight is that this sense of reality is clearly one of the themes in the show. Like, you're supposed to have this doubt as to what is real and what isn't real. And as the show progresses, I remember talking about the show with a couple of friends after the first episode. And I told them, this is a reality show. Like, it is real, but there are certain things that seems too bizarre to be real. But as the show progresses, by the 6th episode, the show becomes more and more clearly fake. More and more clearly these people are clearly actors. More and more of these situations are clearly just scripted. So the show, by the end of it, becomes clearly just a scripted show. It feels almost like a sitcom by the 6th episode. But the situation or the story or the through line begins as something, I guess, something fake for the purpose of the show. And by the 6th episode, it's the realest thing in the whole show. So it's kind of odd. I'm not sure if I explained that correctly. So basically, we have Nathan Fielder, and we have the show. The show begins very realistic, and by the end of it, it feels fake. It feels like a sitcom, scripted sitcom. Nathan himself begins the show by feeling like an actor himself. He's just playing around with people. He's just pranking people. Whether he's pranking the people on the show or he's pranking us, the audience, I don't know. But he's clearly just, he's pranking. He's an actor. But by the end of it, he becomes real. It seems like the situation for him, by the end of it, became so real that he began to use the show itself to deal with some issues in his own life. But even that, you're left questioning, is that even real? Is he truly dealing with these situations in his own life? Or is this just something that, this is just part of the show? I can't even explain it. So clearly, as you guys can see, my thoughts are muddled up. And it's also because I don't want to go full spoilers for anybody. So I'm kind of hesitant to say certain things. But ultimately, this show does a great job at using a mix of reality and fiction to shed a light on certain situations, very real situations in our daily life. Like, how do we interact with people? How do we tell the truth to someone that we care for and we know that truth is probably going to damage that relationship? How do we heal from certain things from the past? How do we reconcile certain relationships that have been destroyed? How do we make connections with people? So one of the episodes, which is the best episode by far, the 4th episode, poses this question, or essentially this I don't know, this theme, or this I don't know, this idea that in our daily lives we tend to assume that people have certain perceptions of us, usually negative. And when we do that, we're essentially making these people into characters in our own lives. So we're turning them into characters by assuming that they think this or that about us. And then we become, then, I guess, in a sense, one of those characters in this world that we've made up in our own minds. And that in itself kind of parallels what the show actually is. So you're watching these characters interact with one another. You're trying to determine their motives and are they real, are they not real, etc. So while you're watching this narrative, the scripted show mix of reality, you're already making up in your mind what is going on. So in itself, you're making the show in your own mind. So the show may be his own thing, but you have already determined in your own mind what this show is. And he's arguing this is what we do in real life as well. So the show, it doesn't really matter if it's real or scripted, because our life is real and scripted at the same time, in a sense. It is real in the sense that it's really going on, but in a sense it is scripted because we perceive it through our own assumptions about what is going on and other people's intentions, etc. So it's very, very meta in that sense. And that's one of the most powerful things that I got from the show, is this perception or this sense or this realization that yes, I constantly analyze things and people, and I place them into certain categories, and I interact with them in through that lens. And in a sense, then I am creating this world in which I live, and I am interacting with it in a way or through the lens through which I am perceiving this world that I have created in my mind. And I think that's true of all of us. There is this thing that we call reality, but there is also this thing that we call perception. And most of what we do and think and feel and say, etc., is based on not reality per se, but on our perception of reality. So in a sense, this world is a show. It is a play of sorts, and we're all just characters in it. And I know that can seem like it feels a little bit pretentious, even as I'm saying it. Like it feels like, oh, this is some artsy stuff or whatever. But I don't know. It's also real. It's also real, and it is also something that you don't usually think about after watching a movie or a show or playing a video game. So I have to give crazy respect to a show like this. In only 6 episodes, it touches on so many deep themes and concepts that I typically don't think about. And at the end of it, I'm left wondering what's the point of the show? But I think the point of the show is what's going on right here, right now, is to make me think about these things and to maybe get me to change a little bit my perspective on life. Maybe through the show, I have rehearsed certain interactions that now I'm prepared to face in my own life. So in a sense, the show was the rehearsal for me, the audience. I don't know. I'm honestly just thinking out loud, just to get a little bit, I guess, more concise, make it more of a review. Acting incredible to the point where, like I said, sometimes I can't tell who's an actor and who's not. Like we had this perception, but clearly I was mistaken at certain points. So the acting is incredible. The music at times it's more almost like the Truman Show type music. Like it's very, very dramatic, and certain points are truly powerful, especially in that 4th and 6th episode, which I think are the best episodes in the whole series. It's short enough to every episode is like 30 minutes long, except for the first one, which is like an hour long. So it's short enough where you can binge it, but you don't, it's not a huge time investment, but you're getting so much out of it in so little time. It's well directed. Obviously, the concept is so incredibly original, unique. The themes are powerful, even though it's difficult to determine, okay, what is it that you're trying to tell me? What is it that I'm actually supposed to get from this show? And in a sense, you're left to your own resources. You're left to make up these meanings yourself, because you know that there's a meaning, but it's very difficult to determine. So you essentially make it up in your own mind. And that I don't know. I've never really experienced something like this. This is by far the weirdest and one of the most profound series that I've ever seen. I do hope there's a second season, because the show ends kind of not hinting at a second season, but it lends itself to a second season, and I hope that is the case. This show specifically reminds me of a modern day. I've been thinking about this name since yesterday, and I forgot, and I remembered it just now. Andy Kaufman. If anybody knows who Andy Kaufman is, that's kind of the vibe that I get from this guy in this show specifically. I'm not sure that he's like that in general, but in this show, I'm left wondering, is this Nathan Fielder guy real? Is it a character that he's created? And I don't mean the name. I mean the way he's acting on the show. Are these things that he's describing in his own life, are these real things that are going on in his life? Or has he just created them for the purpose of the show? Like, I can't tell who the real Nathan Fielder is and who is the character. And that's something very, very, very Andy Kaufman-like. So, and I absolutely love Andy Kaufman and his comedy and everything that he did. That's basically performance art. That's what this is essentially. It's performance art. So I didn't plan on giving it a number. If I had to give it a number, which I don't have to because this is my channel, but if I had to give it a number, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's 9 quality. So the quality is a 9. It's not a 10 because I don't think this show is a masterpiece. I just think it's really, really good. It's a 9 in quality, but I give it an 8 because of how ambiguous it ultimately is. especially those first 3 episodes. Like I told you guys, the only reason I kept watching is because I wanted to understand what the heck this is. What am I supposed to feel? So I give it an 8 because of how ambiguous it ultimately is, even though that's the purpose of the show. Anything less than an 8, I think is wrong, in all honesty. But even though it's an 8, and even though I really enjoyed the experience, this is not a show that I recommend to everybody. You have to want to watch something weird, something very meta and profound, something that makes like you're not sure how you feel while you're watching it. You have to like art, as pretentious as that sounds. Like, this is art. You have to kind of like that. But the main thing is you have to like weird. This is very weird. So this is not for everybody. This is for a very niche type audience. But if any of that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend watching this. Only 6 episodes, HBO Max, The Rehearsal. These have been my thoughts. I'm sure I have a lot of stuff that I want to say that as soon as I turn the camera off, man, I should have said this. I should have analyzed this. Maybe I should have gone episode by episode. Maybe I should have covered the themes. Maybe I should. There's so much more that I want to say about this. But for now, this is what came to mind. So if you like this type of content, remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss any few upcoming videos, and let me know what you guys think down below, especially if you watch The Rehearsal. Watch The Rehearsal. Let me know what you guys think. I'm curious what anybody else's opinion about this show is. What did you think this show was about? All right. So anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time.